So we're here today to do some basic things with Windows, and let me share my screen if I can figure out how to do that. My audio, everybody hear me okay? Audio and video is working from my
Yes,
end, right?
yes.
Okay. And let's see where I can share my screen somewhere around here. Is it view?
The green button that says share.
A green button that says share.
Underneath all of our pictures.
I'm looking there. I see audio, video, participants react more and leave. Let me click more.
No. Okay.
I don't see share screen on more. Oh, here it is. Of share. Share screen. It is under more. More dot dot dot. Share screen. Here we go. Let's see if this works. Select a window or an application that you want to share.
You want to do the window
Do
and make
this.
sure if you're going to use any sound, you want to click the little box on the right. It says use sound or something like that.
Share sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And then click the screen window.
And then there's a share
at the bottom.
here at the bottom. Yep.
Share at the bottom. Share your bottom.
There you go. We're seeing it.
Okay. Let me make the window a little bit smaller. Actually, I'll minimize the Zoom window altogether. And you should all see a nice flowing river.
Yes.
Okay. And we have so few people. I don't mean a low number of people, but please feel free to unmute yourself and to raise up a question or speak up anytime, because I think you're all going to be well behaved and not have a dog barking in the background. So we should be fine. You can keep yourself unmuted. And you can all see my screen and welcome. What I'd like to do is to go over some basics and really kind of have a seminar type kind of approach, because I am sure that each of you is either doing the same thing that I'm doing when I do things, or maybe you're doing something a little differently. And I don't want you to be shy about saying, oh, Jim, yeah, I can do that, but I do it this way. And that would be interesting to everybody. So don't be shy about making a comment. I don't presume, as you can tell by getting used to Zoom, I don't do this very much. In fact, this is the first class I've taught since the pandemic. So I'm a little out of practice. And thanks to Huey, I was able to get on, and we should have a great class. Take a piece of paper for notes. You're all going to be noting something different, because we're going to be covering topics that are simple and basic, but maybe something will pop up in our discussion or presentation you may not have known before. And so please make a note of that and review those notes after the meeting. You're always welcome to send me comments via email. If something doesn't work out at the meeting today and we don't have time to go into a solution for it, then let's take a look at asking Google after the class and then sharing that with an email to me, and I'll share it with the rest of the class if it benefits the rest of the class. So based on that, does anybody have any questions or comments before we get started? And hearing none, I won't be looking for hands because I'll be busy. So you have to speak up and unmute yourself anytime that you have a comment or a question. All right. I'm sharing my screen so you see my screen. When I bring up a window, I'll try to make it smaller than the full screen so that your screen that you see will still have some Zoom window in it, maybe in the corner or on the side, but you still should be able to see my full windows for teaching purposes. If you can't see something on your screen that I'm pointing to with my big yellow cursor arrow, please speak up and say, Jim, where are you going with that? I can't see it, and we'll make sure that you can see it. Okay, the desktop screen, well, that's kind of pretty. I got a flowing creek here. You can make it anything you want. We won't get into that now, but it's cosmetic. You can make a plain background or use a photo that you've taken from your photos file. The photo has to be available to Windows. So if it's on Google Photos, you'd have to download it to make it available for Windows. But any file, photo file that you have on your computer, you can use for a background. Now, these little things here are called icons. And in the days when I was much younger, we called them programs. Now they call them apps. So app stands for applications, and there's basically software programs. Now the desktop is a folder. It's a folder just like any other folder in Windows. And you can access that folder, and I think I'll do that now with this little icon down here called File Explorer. And you all are going to make a note of File Explorer because in 2 weeks, we're going to talk all about File Explorer, which is a very, very helpful, essential thing to know for using Windows. If I click on File Explorer, I get a list and access to all my files and all my folders that are on my PC or connected to my PC. And in fact, you can even make cloud links to folders on the cloud, but we won't get into that now. What I wanted to show you is that in this File Explorer, there's a folder called Desktop. And that is your desktop folder. If I click on that, I get a list here of all the things that are on my desktop. Okay, I'll X out of this whole window right now. I just wanted to show you now that the desktop is a folder, okay, for future use. Now the icons, well, these are the things that I use a lot. All right, I put these things on here. When you start Windows or load Windows onto your computer or go up to Windows 11, and by the way, this is Windows 11, not Windows 10. I just converted this past week. So you'll see all these rocks in the river. You'll see me stumbling over these rocks as I try to navigate through Windows 11 because I'm just learning Windows 11 myself, okay? And maybe we can explore some of these things without getting our feet too wet or injuring ourselves. So when you start Windows, you'll have some icons on here already that are part of Windows. And then you're welcome to add your own icons to make it easy for you to run the apps that you want. To run an app, like if I want to run this app called the Paint program, which comes free with, well, all editions of Windows have the Paint program. All I have to do is double click it on my desktop, click, click, and it opens up the Paint program. I'll make it, oops, hang on a second, got it down here. There we go, make it a little smaller window. You know how to change the size of a window. Just for fun, I'm changing the size of this window called the Paint program. It's called Untitled because I haven't opened anything or started drawing anything in here, but it is the Paint program. It gives the title of the app in the title bar of the window. And you get these three, which should be very familiar commands in the upper right corner. The X would close the window and stop running the app. The box would enlarge the window to fill up the full screen. And then the box changes to two little boxes. You could click that to reduce it back down to less than a full screen. You can move a window around by putting your mouse on a blank part of the title bar and dragging your mouse, holding down the left mouse button. You can drag your mouse to any place you want on the screen. Now, Windows 10 and Windows 11 has a funny thing, and if you put it up to the corner, you could do funny things with it. This one automatically fills up the whole screen, but Windows 11 gives you some options of picking different arrangements of your windows on your desktop. And I think Windows 10 to a small degree allows you to do that, but without this bar appearing to let you split the window and have more than one window on your screen at a time. Okay. But anyway, you can just drag the title bar around to change the size of a window. You just move your mouse to the edge, any edge, and it changes to a double arrow. Then you can hold down the left mouse button and change, and you can do it from the side. If you do it from the corner,
Jim, you just froze. We didn't hear what you were saying.
okay, I get a message that my internet connection is unstable.
Yeah, and you
I wonder if I
froze.
got that from me being unstable. I don't know. Well, please, thank you for mentioning that. If it locks up again, let me know. I noticed it on the meeting yesterday, Huey. It locked up for a couple seconds for me occasionally. So if you put your mouse on the corner, you get a double arrow at an angle, and you can stretch the window two dimensions at once. The opposite corner would remain stable, and you can change the size of the window by the other two sides of the rectangle of the window. Okay? This little bar here is the minimize button of the window. If you click minimize, the window app remains active. You have not closed the window and stopped running the app. The app is still running. And you have an icon down here at this bar that's called the Taskbar. And the Taskbar is kind of like a shortcut bar. But any open windows that you have or apps that you pinned to the taskbar for easier access, they will appear down here. I can get that window back just by clicking on it. So if I draw something in paint and I change colors and I want to do something else in another window and I don't want to throw this away, the phone rings, I don't want to disturb it, I can just minimize it by hitting the little dash, minimize it, and that puts it down on the taskbar. It's still active, it's still running, nothing has changed, and it has not been saved yet either. If you want to save it, you have to do an active save by going to File, Save As, or Save, and save your work. Okay. Let's close this window altogether by clicking the X. It says close. Then I will close the window. It will ask me, wait a minute, you didn't save your work. Do you want to save your work? Well, as much as that's going to be valuable after I'm dead, I'm not going to save it. I'm not that good of an artist. Okay. So these are icons or shortcuts for you to use to open an app. And you double click the left mouse button on these apps up here. Now let's talk about the taskbar down at the bottom. Are there any questions about the apps on the desktop before we go to the taskbar?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
This is going to sound kind of naive, but I'm trying to understand how OneDrive works. So let me just ask a what if question. If I have a tiny little laptop with, 100 gig of storage on it, and I have a OneDrive account for all of my computers that shares all of the files. And on my main computer, if I drop a 500 gig file into that OneDrive, of course, boom, it gets uploaded to the cloud. Fine, no problem. The cloud has as much storage as I can afford to pay for. What happens when I try and go look in my OneDrive folder on my little laptop that only has, 100 gig in it? WTF?
Okay, I have to I do not use OneDrive. It's a cloud storage area that I think is provided by Microsoft for you. Is that correct, Huey?
That's
I think
correct.
that's a,
And if it's out there and you don't have it on your hard drive, you can access it from the cloud and use it from there. You don't have to have
Yeah,
it
with
on
the
your
web
hard drive.
browser. But what I'm asking is, if I've got, a little laptop with not much storage, and I dump a huge document or folder full of pictures into that OneDrive and try and access it from the OneDrive on my little dinky laptop, is it going to try and download all 500 gigabytes to my laptop?
It's not going to download it at all. You will access it in the cloud directly, and you won't have to have it on your hard drive. That's the whole idea of it.
Okay, thank you. That's what I was trying to comprehend.
Yeah.
So the OneDrive folder that's on my desktop on my dinky little laptop, it doesn't really take up a whole lot of my space.
That's correct.
Even if I've got a terabyte's worth of files sitting on OneDrive.
That's the whole idea of it. Yeah. But I think we're getting a little bit more advanced. I think Jim wants to be on this particular meeting, but I think I've answered your question.
You have. Thank you.
I
Sorry.
think real quick, I brought up, let me do it again here. I brought up File Explorer, which we're going to talk about at the next class in 2 weeks. And in File Explorer, you have a list of your folders, and I believe you can have OneDrive on this list, but the OneDrive folder is not on any of your computers. The OneDrive folder, if it's on this list, would be in the cloud. But File Explorer may give you access to your OneDrive in the cloud on this list, and we'll talk about that next class. Okay. Thank you. It's a good question. I'm sure that was helpful for some people. I don't use OneDrive. I use Google Drive, which is the same concept. Google Drive is in the cloud. Okay, we talked about the desktop, and we're going to talk about the taskbar. Let me give you one tip for those that haven't discovered this yet. It's going to be worth the price of admission, I promise you. If you don't know about this tip, you're going to write it down. If you take your mouse and the cursor that moves with your mouse, that's called a cursor or an arrow, it can point to different things you want to work with. If you put your cursor on something, anything, and you right-click, you will get a menu of choices of what you can do with what you've right-clicked on. For example, if I right-click my mouse on a blank area of my desktop, right-click, I get a menu of choices of what I can do with my desktop. I can personalize it, for example. And so it's a shortcut for the most popular menu items or choices that you can make with something that you click on, right-click, on whatever it is your cursor is pointing to. Let me try something else. If I don't want this menu, I just left-click off of the menu and it disappears. If I put this cursor on an icon and I right-click, I get a menu of what I can do with that icon. If I put my cursor on a blank area of the taskbar and I right-click, I get a menu of what I can do with that taskbar, such as the task manager. These are not complete, total, everything you can do with it menus. They are good menus that have many of the main things that you would want to do with an item. That works, that right-click works inside of an app, inside a menu, inside a title bar in a window. It works everywhere. So make a note of that. If you haven't used that, right-clicking your mouse makes a menu appear, a menu of choices. of what you can do with whatever it is you right-clicked on. Okay? I think I use that all the time. And 99% of the time, anything I want to do would appear in that menu that appears with the right click. Now let's talk about the taskbar a little bit, real quick, and then we'll go into these things a little bit more. Starting from the right side over here, I have the bottom right side of your desktop area in Windows is called the notification area. And if I click on the far right, I have a date and time. If I move my mouse to it and don't click on anything, many times I'll get a box appear that will tell me what that thing is. That's a good thing because Windows is getting away from putting words, so many words. They want to go to more symbols. And as you run across symbols in Windows, putting your mouse on the symbol without clicking anything may make a box appear that'll tell you a little bit more about it. It's not a menu necessarily of choices, but it's a description of what that symbol is. So I have down in the bottom right what's called the notification area. And if I open that up, I get my notifications box. Now here I can't move this box around because it's not technically a window. Well, it is, but it's a fixed window. I can't change the size of it. I can't make it float around. There's no X's or boxes in the upper right corner, but it does give me a scroll bar and I can see the notices that have come up for my notice. So you may see a notice pop up in the bottom right corner that pertains to something that affects you and your PC, and you want to click on the notice to open it to find out what the notice says. And we will not go into that now. But that's where the notices appears in the bottom right. I'm going to click off of this to make it disappear because there's no X in the upper right corner.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Hi. So on my extreme right, there is the bell and it's got a Z, which tells me that when I go over it, it says do not disturb is on. It says 3 new notifications, do not disturb is on. Should I have that as a do not disturb, or do I want to get these notifications?
My opinion is that you want to get the notifications when they appear.
Okay.
So I would take the do not disturb off.
Okay.
If you
Thank
do
you.
have the do not disturb on, it doesn't change anything. Most of the notifications, you don't have to do much with them anyway. They're just notifying you. And you can leave the do not disturb turned on if you check your notifications frequently.
Got it.
Okay,
Thank you.
good. So I'm not going to clear my notifications. I'm just going to click off of them to make it disappear. Now, next to that box that has the date, another question? I'm sorry. No?
Thanks for that tip on right click. But I don't have a mouse. I have a trackpad. Is there a way to right click on my trackpad?
I hate trackpads. They come
me
with
too.
laptops. I assume you have a laptop, Tim?
That's why I bought a mouse.
Attaboy. Get a mouse. Get a mouse with a wheel. Does your mouse have a wheel?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because
But
Windows 11...
right until I get this thing set up, what do I do?
Well, plug the mouse in and start using it.
You want me to butt in here?
Sure.
On your trackpad, usually on the bottom left and on the bottom right of the trackpad are the right and left mouse buttons. And if you press down there, it will click.
Yeah.
I'll try that. Thank you.
Also, on most trackpads, which is the reason why I don't like them, there's also a scroll bar area on the trackpad. You have to be kind of tricky with your fingers, holding down the bottom left or bottom right, and then using another finger to scroll on the far right of the trackpad. Trackpads are very, very good with laptops if you don't bring a mouse. It enables you to use the laptop. but I would always recommend bringing a mouse, and the mouses are wireless today.
No,
You
it's
plug
mouse.
in a little USB port device, plug that in there, and my mouse and keypad or keyboard are wireless, and they work just fine. And my computer, my laptop is closed all the time. Okay. All right. How we doing? Hey, we're making good progress. We're down here at the taskbar now, and we're to the left of the notification box area, and we see these little symbols. There's a battery symbol that tells me how much my battery is doing. There's a speaker symbol that tells me I'm hooked up to my earphones or how loud my speakers are. There's a wireless symbol that looks like a sonar wave going out, semicircles, tells me I'm connected to the internet. There's a microphone symbol, tells me I'm using my microphone. So these kinds of things are little symbols that enable you to shortcut some hardware devices and maybe some other things, but I think they're mostly hardware related devices connected or being used by your computer. Now, what I want to point out to you now is that there's a little symbol to the left of those that's an arrow pointing up, just an arrowhead pointing up. And that is the show hidden icons that don't fit in this area. And if I click that, then I get all the icons that are not displayed here, but are in this area as far as the computer is concerned. One example of that is if you have, let me see if I have one in my drawer here. I should. I'll hold this up. If you have a little thing called a thumb drive, okay, that plugs in to a USB port, okay, if you plug that in, and we'll get to these in other classes, if you plug that in, you don't want to just unplug it whenever you feel like it, because you could be actively writing or reading things to the thumb drive. So you come down here to this arrow. In fact, let me just for fun, I'll plug my thumb drive in. We won't go into detail about using it now, but I'll plug it in. And I can show you that on the task, if I go to the File Explorer window, I now have this Lexar thumb drive appearing in my file list of folders on File Explorer. So I can use this drive. This is where I keep some backups, etc. Okay. But I don't want to just pull it out when I'm done using it, because sometimes the thumb drive will have a little light on it. And the light means it's in use. It could be reading or writing to the thumb drive. And if the light is not on the thumb drive, if it has a light at all, and the light is not working or not on, it probably means that there's no activity going on with that thumb drive. However, you come down to this arrow. Let me get out of the File Explorer window and come down to this little arrow. And now I see an icon for the thumb drive. Does everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay. I click
Yes.
that icon, and now it tells me I want to eject the thumb drive from my machine, disconnect it. I click on eject the thumb drive, and I get a message. Maybe you can't see it, but I get a message that it's okay to disconnect, and I can disconnect the thumb drive. Okay. So that's another hardware item that pops up in these icons at the bottom right of your taskbar. They're very important when you start connecting or using other hardware devices. Okay?
Pardon
Jim,
me,
you check.
please repeat that. Show me what it looks like. Where's the eject button, please?
Okay. I will plug the thumb drive back in. and I will open up the File Explorer. Right now, I do not have the thumb drive connected, so all I have is my C disk. And when I connect the thumb drive by plugging it into a USB port, I get the Lexar, which is the make of the thumb drive, appear. And it automatically goes to that thumb drive, and I can see my folders and files on the thumb drive. Now, when I want to disconnect it, I come to that arrow because I don't see the symbol listed on the bottom right. So I click the arrow to show the hidden icons that don't fit down here. Click on that, and there's the icon for the thumb drive right there.
Ah,
And when I put my mouse on it without clicking, I get safely remove hardware and eject media. That thumb drive symbol could be a whole big drive. The symbol that Windows uses is the symbol thumb drive because that's what most people plug in for extra memory. But it can be other media as well. For example, you could have a CD or DVD player plugged in to your laptop. That may appear here in the thumb drive icon as an extra media. Okay. And you click on that, and then it says, do you want, well, it doesn't ask a question. Is eject jump drive is the only one because I only have one media plugged in. If you had 10, you get a list of 10. And you have to pick the one you want to disconnect. And you click eject jump drive. There's no letter. Well, it says Lexar D down here in fine shadow print. But I would click on that, and then I get a message. You can't see it. I think it probably appeared. There should be a message that appears briefly that says, okay to eject drive or okay to disconnect. And I didn't see that message because I think the Zoom screen is taking up that space in front of it. But I know it's now safe to eject the media and I can unplug my thumb drive. Okay, that was a great question. I like that.
Jim, what about the icon that's between the microphone and that pointing arrow?
Yeah, I have no idea what that is. Get the latest features and security improvements with the newest feature update. I'm guessing that's a Windows 11 gotcha. Windows 11 is going to put that on there for you.
Okay.
I have no idea what it is. I've never seen it in Windows 10.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome. So then we have a blank area of the taskbar, and the next area to the left, these are shortcuts or icons for apps that are either pinned, meaning they've been permanently attached to the taskbar. Let me remove my File Explorer window. There we go. Okay, so the Zoom meeting is in progress right now, and if I move my mouse, I can see I can pick from one of two windows that are using the Zoom meeting. And I did not pin the Zoom meeting there. It appears there because I'm actively using the app, and I have a small window on the side that shows me a couple people, of course. But because the app is active, it appears on the taskbar. The other one is Google Chrome, which I use, and File Explorer. Now, the File Explorer icon on the taskbar is no different than the File Explorer icon on my desktop. The only difference is if it's on the taskbar, you single click to open the app, not double click. Single click on the taskbar, double click icon on the desktop. Okay. You can pin things to the taskbar, and I think we'll have time. We'll be able to do a sample pin of something to the desktop and to the taskbar in a minute. Okay, the next area is the search area. This is important for searching for anything. Years ago, when you did a search on your PC, it only searched your PC. But now if you do a search in Windows 10 or Windows 11 and you enter search, it not only searches your PC, it also searches the internet. And it will search the internet using your default browser, whatever that is. We'll talk about that another time. But if I put a search in here, like if I put in a search in here and this pops up, but my icon or my insertion point is still in the search bar, ready for me to type, okay? I can type in calculator. And as I type, things will start appearing in the main area of the search window that has appeared, okay? What I get first is the best match, which is on my PC. This indicates that it's not on the web. I have a calculator app or function or something on my PC, and I can click to it, to go to it, to use it, to find out what it is, whatever, whatever, whatever. In fact, it tells me, because it's highlighted already, it shows me over here a little bit about it. Okay. After the best match shows me what's on my PC, then I get the search web area and I can search for a free calculator on the web. And I can click on that and go to the web. Let's see what happens just for fun. And let's click on the arrow over here. Preview the web results for calculator free. Right arrow, click on that. And I get an online calculator for free, or calculator online is probably the same thing, or went to the website. Okay, it opens up the website on its own window. So let's go back to that again. I do a search. The insertion point is there. I see my recent searches that I've done up here already. I'm going to put in a new search of calculator again, CAL, and that's all I need to get the calculator app. And if I click on the calculator app, I get the calculator app that comes with Windows. Okay. There are many things that come with Windows. There's hundreds of things that come with Windows. They're not putting them, move this around here, X out of it. Windows doesn't put all of them on your desktop. They don't want to do that. They want you to do that. So we get to the next and final thing on the taskbar down here, and that's the Windows Start button. Maybe I should have started with the Start button, but I didn't. I started from the right side instead of the left side. The Start button in Windows, if you click on it, it's a little different in Windows 10. All right, this is Windows 11. In Windows 11, the Start button, one of the things you can do, you still get the search up here. So you can put it in a search again if you wish. But what's very important is this all box over here. If I put my mouse on all, well, it's going to show all the apps that are on my, not just these are the pinned ones that are appearing at this portion. There's recommended apps, there's more apps, but click on all and you will get a list of all the apps that are on your PC, whether you're using them or not. Hey, here's the calculator.
We're not seeing
app.
your screen. It would be helpful to see your screen.
I'm seeing it.
I see it.
I see.
it.
I'm seeing everybody's faces.
Okay, you need to reduce the size of your Zoom window. Go to view on Zoom and pick
You,
a smaller, small box area.
view, show chat, close chat, show participants.
And the
Stug classes and forums. There we go. Now I see your window.
Okay, good. All right, so let's review that again here. Let's X out of this or get rid of that window. There was no X in the corner of the window, so I just clicked off of the window. If I come down here again to the Start button on Windows and I click it, I get this window that appears. And again, they're very tricky. They don't put the X or box or dash up there, which tells me I can't do anything with the window. I can't change the size of it. I can't move it around, blah, blah, blah. I just get it. So getting this window, the important thing on this window is all. And if you click the Start button in Windows 10, I think you immediately get a list of all. You don't have to click the all option. You get a list of all your apps in the left portion of this window, and you can scroll through them. I will click all on Windows 11, and I get a list. I get that list of all my apps, and I can scroll up or down this list. And if the scroll bar is too narrow, to use the arrows up or down, clicking the arrowheads at the top or the bottom of the scroll bar, or dragging the scroll bar dragger button, rectangle, in the scroll bar to go up or down, okay? If that's too narrow for you, use the wheel of your mouse. And that'll come in handy. So I can see all the icons down here. If I come down to Windows, I get something like Windows Tools, Windows 3, Windows Backup. Windows 10, there was a folder called Windows, and it looks like I'm just discovering it now that they don't. Well, here's OneDrive. Somebody mentioned that. Microsoft Office Tools. You see, we get a folder icon here, which means that there are more apps in this folder. There's also an arrow at the far right of the highlighting that app folder. If I come up here to Microsoft Edge, there's no arrow in the right side. There's no folder icon. It's an icon for the app itself. So this Microsoft Edge is not a folder. It's just the app itself. But this is a folder. And if I click on it, it opens up indented all the contents of the Microsoft Office Tools folder. And there's a long list of them. I'm not going to mess with that. All I want to teach you today is that this list of apps contains all your apps, but some of them may be in a folder that you have to open to get the list that's in that folder. To close it, just click the arrow over here that's pointing up, bloop, and it closes the list. So you can open the list and close the list. And that skill is going to come in a lot next class when we talk about files and folders from the File Explorer app down here. Very important app. So if I have an app on here that's not on my desktop, gee, I'd love to have it on my desktop because I use it. I'm going to use it a lot. I don't want to open it all the time. Let's go to Calculator. That was somewhat harmless, simple one. Now, if I click on Calculator, which I'll do just for fun, click, it'll open the app. There I am. But it's not an icon on my desktop. Not yet. So I'm going to click the X to make the app go away. I'm going to come down to the Windows icon and click it. I'm going to go to all to open up all my apps. I could search for it. Remember, I could search for Calculator. I'm going to click on all, and there it is. All I have to do, oh gee, I hope this works. Most of the time it does. You'll hold down the left mouse button on the icon of the app in this list. hold down the left mouse button, drag it, and you notice as I'm dragging it, I get a little box with an arrow. I'm sorry, I get a little box with a circle with a slash through it, which is the universal symbol for no, 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 you can't do it. I can't put the calculator someplace else on this list, but if I move it out of the window, hey, it changes to link. And I let up my mouse, and presto, I have the icon on my desktop for calculator. Now I can drag that icon and put it anywhere I want on my desktop. And then from now on, forever, every time I start my computer, calculator icon app will be on my desktop. And I double click it, and there's the calculator. So that's how you move an app from your app list to make an icon on your desktop. When you do that and you drag it over, you remember it said link. That's important. It tells you that it's not moving the app from the all app list. It's still going to be there, but it's creating a link to where you dragged it to, in this case, the desktop. So it's a link to the app. Okay. Remember I said desktop is a folder, which means you can put icons on the desktop that are really files. Here's one over here. I'll move it. It says Jim's Meds. Well, let me move this thing out of the way. Here we have, oh, here we go. I'll move this one over. This is a Word document that is the Stug board member list. If I double click that icon, which is not an app, this icon is a file. It has the W in the icon to let me know that it's a Word file. If I put my mouse on it, I get a box that tells me it's a Microsoft Word document. I'm the author, the size of it, and the date modified. Really good information about it. But if I double click it, bloop, bloop, Windows recognizes that it's a Word file, so it opens up the Word app for me. And at the same time that it opens the Word app, it opens the file in the app. And there's our list of our board members. Let me go through that again, okay? The desktop is a folder. You can put anything on the desktop you want. Most people use the desktop for the apps that they use most often. However, you can put files on the desktop as well. You can move them into the desktop folder. And I'll show you that in the next class in 2 weeks. I've moved some files to the desktop and I put them over to the side so I have them handy for me. They will always appear at the desktop because I moved them to the desktop. All right. To open a file on the desktop, when you double click a file on the desktop, the computer recognizes that it's a file, but it also recognizes the type of file it is. In this case, the file is a document file. But what type of file? What kind of document? It's a Word document. So the icon nicely shows a blue and white W to let me know visually that this is a Word document. Now, when I double click it, the icon on the desktop, click, click, what the computer does is it recognizes that I'm trying to open a Word document. So the computer will open up the Word app and then open the document in the app. So here we go. Click, click, double click. It
Double
opens up
left
Word.
click?
Double
Jim?
left click. Yeah,
Thank you.
left mouse button. When I say click, I'll always refer as it the left mouse button. If I
Okay.
say right click, I will always use the
Then it's-
word right click.
Okay.
Okay, so when I say click, it's the left mouse button. Thank you for bringing that up, Anda. Great
Thank you.
comment. Okay, and now I'm in Word. I can edit this. I can do whatever I want with it. I can make it fill up the whole screen. I can make it less than a full screen or reduce it to an icon to on my taskbar. Click on it, it brings it back to where it was. If it's less than a full screen, you move it down here. Okay, don't forget, we can resize the window. You can resize it by dragging a corner or any side. I can make it fill up the whole screen by clicking the box. I can reduce it back to the size it was before. If you resize a window and make it any size you want, and you do something else, when you come back, it should remember the size of the window that you had it on. So if I blow this up and I reduce it now down to a regular size, less than a full screen size, it remembers the size and position of the window. That's kind of nice to know, because if I really put this thing, make it really small in the corner and try to hide it away, okay, I can make it full up the whole screen. When I reduce it back down to less than full screen, it remembers the size and position of where I put it. Okay, I'm going to make it bigger now by dragging the edges. And make it a little larger. Scroll bar, sorry. It's kind of tricky. Don't click on the scroll bar, wait for the double arrow and so forth. Okay, well, we covered quite a bit today. I think we did a good use of our hour. I'd like to open it up for questions. Please, we've got a few minutes. I'd like to open it up for questions. Anybody?
I have a question.
Yes.
Why would you put a shortcut on the desktop rather than putting it down in the taskbar? Is there any difference?
Yes, that is a fabulous question. I wish I had asked it. It's so good. The difference is when you fill up your whole screen with anything, you still have your taskbar.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it always is there on top.
So therefore, on your taskbar, you should put the most important things or the things you use the most?
That's my philosophy, yes. The things you use the most, and also on the taskbar will be apps that you already have open. If you reduce
Excuse-
them.
One thing about that, Jim, if
Yeah.
it's on the desktop, you have to click it twice. If it's on the
Yes.
taskbar, you only have to click it once.
That's correct.
I know, but I get more exercise clicking twice.
Yes. I bet your fingers are really in good shape because of this class. Okay, I'm gonna, oops, there we go, make it bigger, I'll click the X. Okay, there's a lot of things we didn't cover. I'd like to just mention them to you because you're always free to email me your comments. You can ask me any questions in an email. My only caveat is that you ask Google first. Ask Google first your question, and then if you don't get a satisfactory answer, please ask me with an email. But there's lots of things we haven't covered. For example, you can personalize your windows in many ways. You can have any backdrop or wallpaper picture for your desktop. You can make the icons different sizes. You can sort them anywhere you want on the screen. You don't want icons to overlap other icons, although you can do that with certain settings. You don't want to do that. The bottom line for me, and the message I'd like to leave with you, is when you use Windows, if you go into the hundreds of settings that you can play with in Windows and change things around, you can make things bigger or smaller and change colors and do all these things. I don't recommend that you change the settings unless you have a good reason to do so. If your eyesight is getting a little weak like mine is, I have my icons just a tad larger than usual, and I have my screen text enlarged so I can see it The larger your text or the bigger you make things on your computer, the less will fit on the screen. So it's a takeoff. There's also a magnification rectangle that you can move around on your screen to magnify certain areas. There's hundreds of things you can do. But the bottom line from me to you is don't change a setting unless you really want to. For example, just to mess you up, there's a setting for the mouse. You can actually reverse the mouse left and right buttons. Wouldn't that be confusing? When I was working, I used to go to somebody's computer and I go to their settings and change their mouse buttons on them and not tell them. And boy, did they get mad. So you don't want to mess with settings. The taskbar down here, you can pin the taskbar to the side or the top. You can make the taskbar disappear. I don't recommend you do that because why? Somebody, you call up with a problem and say, can you help me with your computer? And I say, yes, just click on this in the taskbar. And you say the taskbar is not there. How can I help you? You've moved the taskbar somewhere else. You can do that. You can do a lot of junky things. Don't mess with it. Okay? Make it easy for us to help you. Are there any other questions? Some of the topics we'll get to in the next class. We're going to concentrate on the File Explorer. We're going to learn a lot of things about files and folders. Next class, which is in 2 weeks. That is the 28th. Let me look on my calendar. Yeah, the Tuesday, the 28th. I think you're all signed up for it, so you don't have to do anything. The link is the same. I'll send you a reminder, but the link to get on will be the same. And there's many, many settings we can talk about. If you do have time and you want to play with it, you can ask Google about any settings on your computer. To get the settings, you can click on the start button and where's the settings thing? There it is, the gear wheel. The universal gear wheel is usually settings, and you can click that, and then you can, there's so many settings, they actually call a home area to start you with all the settings you have. Complicated, many hundreds of settings to play with, and backgrounds and everything. You're welcome to play with them. Be sure you can always undo it if you don't like it. Any other questions? All right, I went 1 minute over. I hope it was valuable to you. I hope you got some good notes. And I hope even if you were experienced that you said, oh, wow, I learned something new today. That was my goal. So thank you for attending. We'll see almost all of you and some other people in 2 weeks for the next class.
Thank you.
Thank
Jim.
you, Jim.